Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Lynn Nesbitt. I'm chairing the panel today. Joining me on the panel are Kent Seelan and Richard Whitbread. Our assessors are Jason Brown and Jamie Fougere, and our hearing secretary is Stephen Lund. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application. We'll limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decision. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1 through 9 on our docket today. Mr. Lund, please affirm the assessor's and the applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Jason Brown.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, please state your full name.
Rocky Neufeld.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and welcome Mr. Brown and Mr. Neufeld. We'll begin with item number 1 on our docket today. That's 3740 Portage Avenue. And I'd like to confirm that the issue under appeal is the amount of assessed value.
That's correct. I don't have the assessor's brief yet. It was never forwarded to me. And I just sent a message to the Board of Revision to get a copy of it. And I wanted to at least look at it. We will be asking for confirmation though.
Okay. Mr. Neufeld, it should be in your inbox in a second or two.
Okay.
Okay, so perhaps what we'll do then, Mr. Neufeld, you'll let us know when you have it.
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
When you speak, you're getting a echo chamber effect on your voice. I don't know if anyone else is hearing it, but I'm certainly hearing it. It's like a rattling in a speaker or something. Have you got something that's on?
It's not on my end, I don't think. Do you hear it now?
No, all of a sudden I don't.
Okay,
I don't
So
either
that-
now, but I was
okay.
saying the same thing, Madam
You
I
should
was-
hear- can't
I was
compare
hearing a
it
bit
to-
of an echo too. Perhaps somebody had a YouTube player on, not sure.
That's what I was wondering, if something else was on.
Okay, well, let's begin with item number 1 then. Mr. Brown, if you can.
I've got it.
Good, thank you. Mr. Brown, you can take us through your presentation, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is file number 22-3046. The roll number is 075691345585. The subject's located at 3740 Portage Avenue. This is the Howard Johnson Hotel. This is located just east of the perimeter on Portage. Today, we're prepared to defend a 2023 assessed value of $2,595,000, and that's based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021. And because Rocky's asking for confirmation, I will just ask that this amount be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Neufeld, I want to confirm that you're requesting confirmation, please.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Members of the panel, can I ask if you have any questions or comments?
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, then, thank you. Thank you very much. I guess that concludes our first item on the agenda.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Short and sweet, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 2 on our agenda, but before we do that, Mr. Lund, can you please affirm Mr. Fougere's testimony?
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Jamie Fougere.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now move to item 2 on our agenda. That's 912 Portage Avenue. And can I confirm that the issue under appeal is the amount of assessed value?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Fougere, when you're ready, please.
So I do have recommendations for all of the properties on the docket today. So if you would, I would ask that you open the recommendations document that I had sent.
Okay, so give us a minute. Do we have that yet, Mr. Lund?
Yeah, so it's going to be the second from the bottom in your SharePoint.
Okay. Okay, give us a minute to figure this out. All right, and Mr. Neufeld, you have it as well?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right, then let's start with number 2 on our docket today, 912 Portage Avenue.
So I'll quickly describe the property and then explain the recommendation, and then we can take it from there.
Thank you.
So the address is 912 Portage Avenue. The roll number is 1208 1865 000.
Okay, I am also now hearing some feedback. Does somebody have a YouTube player on?
I'll just ask that anyone that's not speaking just mute themselves for the rest of the hearing.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Fougere.
So the assessed value is $2,100,000, and you can see the property on the second page of my brief. There's an aerial shot and then a Google Street View picture. So it's a strip mall on Portage Avenue. And then if you want to turn to the recommendations document, we have the original assessment on the left-hand side, and then we have the proposed recommendation on the right side. You will see that the numbers don't quite calculate for the original assessment. I had looked, and it looks like there is an override on there, and I'm not sure exactly where that had come from. But regardless, we're looking at changing the assessment anyway. And so we've used $13.50 and a capitalization rate of 7.25. And so this recommendation is in part comes from looking at sales of comparable strip malls on Portage Avenue, as well as looking at what was done previously with the certificate of agreement and sort of updating some of those parameters. So the proposed recommendation goes from 2.1 million down to 1,763,000.
Okay, so before we go any further, I'll ask Mr. Neufeld, does he accept the recommendation?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the panel, do either of you have any questions about it? You're on mute.
No questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. You're on mute, Mr. Whitbread.
As I look at the, this is out of interest. If I look at the date built in 1987 and the effective date at 1983, can you explain how it would go backwards in age?
I had the same.
Yeah, I can't explain that. I think that that may be an error on our behalf. I don't know specifically whether the error comes from the actual year built or from the effective year built. Both are editable fields. Only you wouldn't normally, obviously, edit the actual year built. So unfortunately, I can't explain that today. Okay. Suffice it to say, we did look at the actual performance of the mall, as well as some comparable strip mall sales on Portage. And that's more driving the recommendation here today. But I will make note of that and take a look and see if I can figure that out and maybe make it a little bit more consistent.
You have another one at number 8 like that too. So no
Okay.
Worries. Asked and accepted.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on now to item number 3 in our agenda, which is 3042 Portage Avenue. So, Mr. Fougere, when you're ready, please.
Yeah, so the next property that we have here is 3042 Portage Avenue, as you mentioned. The roll number is 07567060. The original assessed value was $2,532,000. And again, here we have a recommendation. You can see the original assessment on the left-hand side, and then our proposed recommendation on the right-hand side. And we're using $12 a square foot overall. And then we've increased the vacancy. There's been basically a year and a half of vacancy at approximately 13% from my calculation. And we've also increased the cap rate to 7.15. And so the original assessment goes from $2,532,000, and we're proposing a reduction to $2,383,000.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, the assessors made a recommendation. What is your response to that?
Sorry, I just had a question for him. You didn't really increase the vacancy allowance because the effective market income is actually higher after your recommendation, isn't it?
We've increased the rent, but we've also increased the vacancy allowance.
Yeah, okay, so really effectively just change the cap rate.
If you want to look at it like that, you can.
No, I just want to make sure we know what we're dealing with, and the shortfall was a bit higher. It's fine. We're accepting the recommendation on the final number, and I noted that, and I wanted to ask a question.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Whitbread or Mr. Seeland, do you have any questions on the recommendation made by the assessor?
None, thank you.
No questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Let me just move along here. Okay, we'll move to item number 4 on our agenda, 3166 Portage Avenue. So, Mr. Fougere, whenever you're ready.
So 3166 Portage Avenue, the roll number is 07565 44100. And the original assessed value is $2,065,000. Again, you can see the property on the second page of my brief. We have the aerial photograph and then the Google Street View image below that. And then on the third page of the recommendations document, we have a recommendation here. We've increased the rental rate overall, but we've also opted to basically discount the mezzanine area, and that's following Mr. Neufeld's approach with his submission. And part of the reason for that is I was also looking at comparable sales of strip malls, and when you look at I think generally when you're looking at applying comparable sales on a price per square foot, you wouldn't necessarily apply that to the mezzanine space. And then we've also increased the cap rate from 6.8 to 7.25. And so the overall assessment goes from $2,065,000 to $1,662,000.
Thank you, Mr. Fougere. Mr. Neufeld, there's a recommendation in front of you for $1,662,000. Do you have any response to that? You're muted right now.
Okay, I'm going to read lips. Yes, we accept it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whitbread or Mr. Seeland, do you have any comments to make on the recommendation or questions?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me just make sure I have that number right. 1662, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. And we are now on item number 5 on our agenda, 3234 Portage Avenue. So, Mr. Fougere, when you're ready, please.
So 3234 Portage Avenue, the roll number is 07550040000. And the original assessed value is $2,627,000. And you can see the property on the second page and third page of my brief. And again, we have first the aerial photograph and then the Google Street View. And then if you wanted to turn to the recommendations document, again, we have the original assessment on the left-hand side and then the proposed recommendation on the right-hand side. And so we've reduced the overall rental rate and we've increased the capitalization rate to 7.25. And again, in this case, it was driven by comparable sales primarily. So the original assessed value is $2,627,000, and we're proposing $2,185,000.
Thank you, Mr. Fougere. Mr. Neufeld, there's a recommendation in front of you for $2,185,000. Do you accept the recommendation?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan or Mr. Whitbread, do you have any comments or questions on the recommendation?
None.
No questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay. Item number 6 on our agenda is, got to make that bigger. 1039 McPhillip Street. So, Mr. Fougere, when you're ready, please.
So the address is 1039 McPhillip Street. The roll number is 140-999-67400. And the original assessed value is $2,737,000. And you can see the property on the second and third page of my brief, starting with the overhead shot. And then you can see the entire, it's a bit of a longer strip mall. You can see the entire strip mall on the bottom of page 2 from a Google Street View. And then sort of broken into segments on the third page to get a bit of a closer view. This is a strip mall that's undergone a little bit of a facelift here. And you can see our recommendation on page 5 of the recommendations document. And the original assessment is on the left-hand side. And then our proposed recommendation is on the right-hand side. I've reduced the overall rental rate, but we've also reduced the capitalization rate from 8.65 down to 7.25. More so out of consistency with some of the strip malls on the docket. And so I arrived at this value primarily looking at the performance of the strip mall here. And so the overall original assessed value goes from $2,737,000, and we're proposing $2,504,000.
Thank you, Mr. Fougere. Mr. Neufeld, there's a recommendation to reduce to $2,504,000. Do you accept the recommendation?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan or Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions or comments about the recommendation?
I have none.
No questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item number 7 on our agenda, which is 1200 McPhillip Street. Mr. Fougere, when you're ready, please.
Yeah, so the address is 1200 McPhillip Street. The roll number is 14060897100. And this is another strip mall, somewhat close to the last. You can see the overhead shot at the top of page 2 of my brief, and then a Google Street View shot at the bottom of page 2 of my brief. And if you want to turn to page 6 of my recommendation document, we've reduced the overall rental rate applied, and then that's actually the only change that we've made here. And so the overall assessment goes from $991,000, and we're proposing to reduce it to $921,000.
Thank you, Mr. Fougere. Mr. Neufeld, there's a recommendation to reduce to $921,000. Do you accept the recommendation?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread or Mr. Seelan, do either of you have questions or comments on the recommendation? Okay, I can read lips there, and I'll take that as a no.
No questions, Madam Chair. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry about that, too.
So sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. All right, item number 8 on our agenda is 1504 St. Mary's Road. I think that's the one we're on. Am I getting ahead of myself?
Right. No, that's correct.
Gosh,
That's
we're
what I
going
have
so
anyway.
fast. I have one document open on one page, another on another. Okay, 1504 St. Mary's Road. Mr. Fougere, when you're ready, please.
So 1504 St. Mary's Road, the roll number is 0800-487-0000. The original assessed value is $4,947,000. Again, this is a strip mall. And it appears that we have a similar issue with the actual years built and the effective year built as the, I guess, second property on the docket. I do not have an explanation for this. I have marked it down, and I will revisit it after the hearing and see if there's any plausible explanation on it, and make a correction if there's not. So you can see on page 2 of my brief, overhead shot of the property with the cross street of Riel. And then you can see the Google Street View image on the bottom of page 2, as well as page 3, because I've broken it up as it's a bit of a longer strip mall again. And you can see on page 7 of my recommendations document, just by way of explanation, on the left-hand side where we have the original assessment, I've just broken down you can see on the left-hand side, it says 6 CRUs at 825. They all originally had the same rental rate, so it's just sort of shorthand, so I can fit it all on one page instead of using a second page, so you don't have to flip through. And so here we've reduced the overall rental rate per square foot, and then we've increased the capitalization rate. So the original assessed value would go from $4,947,000, and we were proposing reducing it to $4,491,000.
Thank you, Mr. Fougere. Mr. Neufeld, there's a recommendation to reduce to $4,491,000. Do you accept the recommendation?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan or Mr. Whitbread, do either of you have questions on the recommendation?
I have none.
No questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, now on our last item on the agenda is 1485 Inkster Boulevard. So Mr. Fougere, when you are ready, please.
Yeah, so 1485 Inkster Boulevard. The roll number is 14100128305. And this is actually a new strip mall built 2020, as you can see on the first page of my brief. And then you can see an overhead shot of the property on the second page of my brief. You can see as well, I'm going to point out that there is some space that's been cleared as well for future development, just on the north side of the parcel. And you can see on the bottom of page 2, the Google Street View This shot's along Inkster, and you can see it's 7-Eleven on the corner. And the 7-Eleven has a branded gas station along with it. And you can see that on page 3 as well. And so I'm going to turn now to our recommendation. And I've included the original assessment on the left-hand side and the proposed recommendation on the right-hand side. I attempted to follow Mr. Neufeld's workup, basically for the rental rates of the property. And I think that the large difference that we have, at least that I'm aware of, is in the capitalization rate. We're proposing moving it from 5.7 up to 6.5. Again, this is a new construction. And then we've included the equipment costs for the canopy, for the pumps, and then for the tanks that are underground to facilitate the sale of gasoline at the subject. So I don't believe this recommendation will be accepted, but I'll pause and let Mr. Neufeld speak for himself.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, there is a recommendation to reduce to $2,592,000. Do you accept the recommendation?
What the assessor and I had discussed, and hopefully he's in agreement with this, is that we are willing to accept the numbers up to, but not including the cost adjustment of $440,000 for the equipment. If the board will entertain a partial acceptance, that would be great. That's the sole remaining matter at dispute.
Mr. Fougere, do you have any response to that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have approval to accept that value. If I may, I can just present briefly on as to the inclusion of the equipment costs in the assessment.
Please do. Thank you.
Okay, so as mentioned, the equipment cost that we have relates to the pumps. You can see a picture of one of the pumps on page 5 of my brief. And just to let you know, this is something that's done regularly at this point at the assessment department to include these costs. Again, using the costs from Marshall and Swift with the local modifier to the cost values, and using any depreciation that might be present, which there isn't really much because these are 2020 construction. And so we have the pumps, the tanks, and the canopy. And so that's done at every gas station that we have on the assessment roll. And as far as I know, it's generally not, just as in terms of background knowledge, it's generally not challenged at this point by appellants, the inclusion of those costs. And as to why we do that, you can see on page, let's see here. On page 9 of my brief, I have some gas station comparables. And these are based on land leases. So, as you know, an assessment is comprised of the value of the land as well as the improvements upon it. So we've taken an approach here that's basically allocating a value through land leases of gas stations, which is how they're typically leased. And then we've included the costs of some of the equipment, which would be normally borne out by the gas station company that operates a business there. And I'm just going to have you, if you may, refer to the Municipal Assessment Act. I think it may have been sent out earlier. And I just wanted to draw your attention to page 15 of the Act. And I'm just going to read it here. So it says on page 15 of the PDF, or page 6 of the actual document, it says an improvement means, and it has a building fixture or structure that is erected on, is erected or placed in, on, over, or under land. Under land, that may apply to the tanks. Whether or not the building fixture or structure is affixed to the land and is capable of being transferred without special mention by a transfer of the land, and includes plant, and this is where I want to draw attention here, is the subsection C. It says plant, machinery, equipment, and containers that are used in the retail marketing of oil and oil products. So my understanding would be that would relate to the gas equipment. And so just wanted to explain why we would include that. And then finally, I just wanted to quickly reference in my brief, on page 6, we have some plans that were submitted at the time of construction of what's currently there, just to point out that they have identified the possibility of future development there in a second phase of new construction to be done in the future. But to be clear, we have not added any excess land to this assessment. So that's my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Fougere. Mr. Neufeld, do you have any questions of Mr. Fougere's evidence?
Yes. Speaking specifically to the $440,000 adjustment, where is the detail on this adjustment?
It has not been included in the brief.
Okay, so we don't have a breakdown. Are you able to give us some of that information verbally, or do you have it?
I can bring it up and give it to you verbally if you would like.
Yeah, please.
You just have to wait a minute as my system is loading here. Okay, so I have it loaded. And if you wanted to mark this down, I think there are about 5 different entries that we have here. So the first is underground tank. And this one is 20,000 gallons, and it comes out to 92,000. And so that's, again, part of that 440,000. And moving along.
Sorry, and this is the value. Was there a cost and then a depreciation?
There is, yeah.
Good.
Did you want that as well?
Yes, please.
So we have a replacement cost new of 94,583.80, and there's 3% depreciation that's on there, and then it gets rounded to 92,000. And next, we have the canopy over the pumps. And we have the area calculated at 1,593 square feet. And the replacement cost new on there is 82,405.89. And again, 3% depreciation has been deducted, and once rounded, it comes to 80,000, and that's for the canopy. And then next we have pumps, and this one is 4 products per side with an electronic interface. And we have 8 of them. And it comes out to a replacement cost new of $130,019.52, and less the 3% depreciation. And then rounding, it's 126,000. And then we also have, there are more pumps, and I will describe them shortly. But the next one we have is another tank. And so this is a split tank. It has 12,000 gallons of diesel and 8,000 gallons of premium unleaded, and 20,000 gallons altogether. And this, after depreciation, comes to 95,000. And then finally, we have the double-sided 3 grades of gas. So these ones do not include diesel. And there are 6 units of those. And so starts off with replacement cost new of 48,757.32, and after depreciation and rounding, it comes out to 47,000. And so those are all the costs.
Okay. Now you used what for depreciation then? The 3% is adjusted by what? Like, what's the age? What's the expected life on these?
I don't have that detailed information at the moment. We are using Marshall and Swift manuals, so I believe it would be what's included in the manual as the age life.
Oh, I mean, like, how long are tank permits in place?
I do not have that information with me.
Okay. And what's the expected life expectancy of a fuel delivery system, which you call pumps?
Right. I don't have that information with me.
And has any allowance been made in depreciation for functional obsolescence with the onset of electric vehicles, which in Canada have been mandated, I believe, for 2035 for full conversion.
So just, I don't have anything on that with that regard. I do know some gas stations are supplementing what they have with electric charging stations, but outside of that, that's not here at this subject property, and I don't have any information with regards to that. And as far as I know, there is no adjustment for that.
Okay, so no one in your depreciation workups that you've seen has indicated further concern for depreciation with the onset of electric vehicles.
Not that I'm aware. I will follow up. And I can't be 100% certain here because I'm not intimately familiar with the entry of the Marshall and Swift information here, but there is a depreciation field that says the depreciation of the fuel equipment is 12 years. So I think that's the kind of expected life. And I'm just going through the different entries. Yeah, so the pumps seem to say 12 years, as well as the canopy. And as well as the tanks. So it looks like 12 years is the expected time horizon for full depreciation.
Well, on that basis, even on a straight line alone, wouldn't you expect, you've got allowed 3% depreciation, would you expect on a 12-year lifespan that the initial depreciation should be greater?
I haven't. I don't know exactly how this is calculated or how the numbers are drawn up in the system, but
that's fair. If
that's what I have.
System generates it, yeah. Have you ever seen a place that sells, have you compared to the marketplace to determine if your numbers are correct? Like, is there a market for used tanks and used fuel delivery systems and used canopies?
Not that I'm aware of. And information on gas stations and their costs and the valuation of them is something that there isn't a lot of information readily available with regards to.
Those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions? You are muted.
Thank you. Coming back to the land adjustment, then you're basing no land adjustment on the basis of that plan that was submitted in 2018. At least it appears to be a 2018 plan. So
correct.
5 years ago, the plan was there, and today, on the basis of that plan, you won't do a surplus land or excess land.
It was not included in the original assessment, and I did not choose to pursue it for the purposes of this appeal. I decided to let it stand as is. As far as I know, it looks as though there are current plans more recently submitted for the development on the north side of the parcel. But I did not have those in my possession when I submitted the briefs, and I do not have any information on them. And regardless, we're not pursuing excess land at this point. And there always remains a possibility that even though there are current plans to develop that portion, there's the possibility that it may not go forward. until it's constructed.
Thank you very much. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Mr. Seelan, do you have any questions?
Yes, have you inspected this property?
I have.
And when did you inspect it?
Shortly after the construction, I believe, I think it was 2021. So definitely the 7-Eleven was open. Let's see if I have my notes here. I believe it was August 2021. But I don't have more information at the moment. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have more information about my inspection at my fingertips at the moment. I was with a colleague and we worked on it together, but it was a training exercise, and so he primarily took the lead, and I don't have access to our notes on that at the moment.
Do you remember at the time what the overall condition was and what the state of the actual amenities within it, like as far as the construction itself?
Yeah, so some of the photographs from our inspection I've included in our brief, and you can see them on, let's see, page 4, and then it's just the pumps on page 5. But these photographs on page 4 are taken at the time of the inspection. And just a reminder that when it comes to the physical, what is there currently is what the physical condition of the property as of 2023 is what we look at. And so the construction of the first phase is complete at this point, as we're in 2023. But you can see on page 4 of the of my brief that the construction is nice. It's modern. It has some faux wood paneling on the face of the rental units, as well as sort of some jet outs for the entries there, and as well as some decorative stucco. So I would say that the construction is nice. It's current and attractive. Certainly not outdated to my mind, and I don't think I would fault or find issue with the construction as a result of my inspection. If that helps any.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I just do have a couple questions based on the additional $440,000 for the equipment. I think you indicating, correct me if I'm wrong, that it is typical practice of assessment department to add an additional value for pumps, canopies, tanks that wouldn't be included in a regular income stream, that it's done on the cost approach. That's correct?
Correct.
Oh, correct. And
I would also go so far as to say the last time that I personally recall a challenge to the equipment costs was in 2014. And after discussion at the panel or in front of the panel, looking at the legislation, the appellant, who was a tax agent, withdrew their request to have the equipment costs removed from the assessment. So since then, it, in my mind, is notable when considering precedent. It's been accepted, as far as I can tell, with my experience across the board by appellants.
Okay, thank you. And you indicated that the assessment is done using Marshall Swift. Can you just explain to the panel what Marshall Swift is? Is it a guidebook? Like what?
Right. Right. So Marshall and Swift have been around for a long time. They provide research construction costs based on different markets. For example, there's a local cost multiplier that looks at those construction costs, and it's thoroughly researched, and each item is provided in detail in these guidebooks. And as far as I know, there's also inflation costs that are calculated in there. So really, it's a manual that's adopted generally by the industry, appraisers, and I think anybody looking at doing any new construction as a important guide when it comes to costing out materials and what it would cost for new construction. And they also provide information when it comes to depreciation and life expectancy of the materials, how soon you would have to replace each component of a building. And so it's really a primary source for the cost approach. And when we don't have information on for the income approach or the comparable sales approach, you really don't have much else to go off of except for the cost approach. And again, with the cost approach, you are looking at the cost of the construction as well as the land. And so there's a certain land area required for gas stations, and that's borne out by the land leases that I've included, I think on page 8 or 9 of my brief, page 9 of my brief. So those are land leases. The rental rates have then been applied to the kiosk areas, but really they're land leases, and so they're done on an annual basis. And so the column on the far right side of that table is really just a product of us applying the land lease value to the kiosks at these different sites. But really what's done in the market place is based on the land area. And so we've reflected the land in terms of the rental rate, and then we've supplemented that with the cost of the equipment.
Okay. And is this practice that you're using here consistent with how other gas stations or gas pumps in Winnipeg are assessed?
Correct.
Okay.
All of them are done this way.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fougere. I have no further questions. Mr. Neufeld, the presentation is yours now.
I actually had a follow-up question based on
Oh, sure.
what you just asked.
Okay.
You asked the assessor about, is this a consistent practice? And earlier he had talked about some incident a few years back. So I just wanted to, I missed the date. You were talking with somebody who withdrew their appeal. When was that?
So the appeal wasn't withdrawn, but the request to have the pumps removed from the
When was that?
was withdrawn. Pardon me?
When was that?
It was the cycle of 2014. I don't recall the exact date of the hearing.
That's fine. And you were talking that it's standard practice the way that you operate now. Has the assessment department done anything to modify this standard practice with the great amount of electric vehicles being sold?
Not to my knowledge.
Thank you. That's all I had to ask.
Okay. Mr. Fougere, would you like to ask anything of Mr. Neufeld?
Oh, I put in,
Go ahead.
I haven't. Sorry, I had put in some rebuttal, and I was just going to address my presentation in that, if that's okay.
Okay. Okay. Do you do have rebuttal evidence, Mr. Neufeld?
Yes, it's been filed and accepted.
Okay, so let's just find that. Just give us a minute.
And essentially, in terms of my presentation, I have nothing to speak of to it because on the points of value that have been discussed, we are in agreement with the assessor's recommendation.
Right.
The sole exception, which we did nothing on, was the inclusion of the fuel dispensers and pumps.
Okay, so let's just open up your rebuttal evidence here.
Okay,
I have the right one.
First one's called Rebuttal 1485 Inkster.
Okay, just give me a second. We have two, 1485 Inkster and 1485 Inkster PDF.
Right. So there's two documents here. The first one I was going to refer to is I've called it Rebuttal 1485 Inkster, and it's a news article on from CBC.
Okay, got it. Yep.
Okay, and I had asked the assessor a question earlier, and I just wanted to make sure that you had the background on this, and it simply says that 20% electric by 2026, 60% by 2030, 2035, all electric vehicles. That's the law. Now, the next piece of rebuttal, it's called Used Underground.
Okay.
The assessor talks so slow today that I got a chance to look up all this stuff. Thanks, Jamie. I just Googled used underground tanks, and there's 15 pages of used underground tanks for sale. Two things I want to point out here. This isn't really direct evidence. This is theoretical evidence. Number one, the prices are cheap. They don't sell for a lot. Like this 24,000 gallon underground double wall, $12,000 asking. The second issue is there's none of them in Canada. There is one Canadian listing here, and it's for a portable fuel system. You know why? It's because you can't sell underground tanks in Canada on this basis. We don't permit it. And most of these are in the United States or China, where they have different rules on reusing underground tanks. I mentioned the only one with Canada is a fuel tank with trailer. So that's a portable setup. And that's a different story altogether, not an underground tank. Once an underground tank has been installed, it's pretty much done. It's what we would call, my favorite was Mr. Michael Mercury, who used to call it instant depreciation. But you install it, it's finished. You don't, now the Act speaks about whether it's capable of being transferred without special mention. by a transfer of land. No, it's not. It's a separate issue. You always have to specify your underground tanks as part of the Environmental Act to say we're conveying underground tanks in our sale, and if they stay in position and they can get recertified, fine. But the minute you pull them out of the ground, you're pretty much done. Your value is nothing. So there is no place to buy them in Canada. They do not have market value. And sorry, I should also point out that one of the issues, one of the things I did in my past life is my father owned a bulk oil agency where we're always dealing in tanks. Now we dealt with above ground tanks, and it was a different time, and we were able to take our underground our above ground tanks and transfer them. But for example, we couldn't take a diesel fuel and then give it to someone to use gasoline in. Once it's been diesel, can't go back to gas, and vice versa. So there's all sorts of issues. So and pumps, the same thing. Now the assessor is calling them pumps. They're not. They're fuel dispensing units, because the actual pump is in the ground on top of the tank, and then it's piped to the dispensing unit. These electric POS systems with 4 fuels in them. Well, in 13 years, you're not going to need any of these. These are born to be obsolete, and electric POS systems are cash registers. They're not. The Act says plant, machinery, equipment, and containers used in the retail marketing of oil and oil products. A POS dispenser is a cash register. The actual pump cost a few $100s. It's mounted on top of the tank. Now, that's a mistake to use the POS systems, the pumps, he calls them, and that's he's got a total value there of $173,000. Then you have to tax all the cash registers in the city on that basis, because that's all they are. The dispensing equipment, we concede that it looks like the tanks and the tank mounted pump would likely be included in the improvement. However, again, not capable of being transferred without special mention, because of environment. And then let's say you could do it. You're dealing with 10 cents on the dollar. The minute it goes into the ground, there is no market to sell used tanks. There's actually a bit of a market to sell used POS systems, point of sale systems, and used pumps that are mounted on the tanks, because, well, the pump is actually the most useful because it's just a pump, and you can clean it, refurbish it, change the seals, and likely pump a different fluid out with it. And again, taking all this into account with electric vehicles, I just question why there's any value to them. In my business, in appraisal, we rarely ever see these things being transferred. They're zero value items. They add nothing to a property. In most cases, what you're doing is if you transfer it, you're inheriting the conservation costs of cleanup after the fact, which is a negative. So you put a tank in the ground, and a few years later you pull it out, your cleanup is going to exceed the cost of the tank. And on that matter, we do an awful lot of work in that field. So I wasn't prepared for this, providing a full and detailed discussion of it. But in a nutshell, those are the issues. Tanks, not reusable, not in Canada. Point of sale systems are not conveyance of fuel. The big cost in those pumps, if you took a pump, we'll call it not a pump, we'll call a fuel delivery system, the above ground fuel delivery system, and you took off the cash register function, they're worth about $1,200. What costs money is the system that hooks up with the cash register, not for the conveyance of fuel products, just for a cash register system. And now the canopy, I mean, it's hard to dispute the canopy. They have a short life. I think I mentioned to the assessor earlier that we're probably of the minds that, yeah, you could probably tax the canopy, whatever a used canopy is worth. I do know from my experience in the oil business that image packages, which the canopy is basically advertising, have a shelf life of 7 to 12 years. And that's going to be dependent on the fuel manufacturer. ESSO, strict. When we tell you to change your canopy colors, you do it. And changing the image package costs just as much or more than the canopy itself. They'll rebuild canopies all the time. It's a short life and it's a business product, and has got nothing to do with the delivery of fuel. It's part of it's a protection from the elements and an advertising feature. It is not meant. I mean, the operative question here is if the act says that that it's a plant, machinery, equipment, and containers that are used in retail marketing of oil. Well, a canopy does none of that. It's an advertising feature that has the brand name of the supplier. And so when you pull into the pump and it's raining, you're under the rain. That's not delivery. So my contention here is that there should be no cost for these at all, on all of those reasons, not covered by the Act. No potential for resale once they've been put into the ground, and no consideration given for the legal requirements to move to electric vehicles, which will make these obsolete as we speak. And these rules, these laws have only changed in the last few years. The city assessor should have relooked at this for this assessment cycle at least. That's my rebuttal, my position, and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Fougere, do you have any questions of Mr. Neufeld's rebuttal evidence?
I'm just going to pause for a moment. Yeah, I think what I would suggest is that the interpretation of the department is that really we're trying to, or looking at the legislation of the Municipal Assessment Act, we're trying to see it as, or we interpret it as basically the infrastructure of the gas station that's used for the retail marketing of oil and oil products. When you read the first part of it, where it says a building, fixture, or structure that is erected or placed in, on, over, or under, whether or not the building, fixture, or structure is affixed to the land and is capable of being transferred. And then going down where it mentions plant, machinery, equipment, and containers used for the retail marketing of oil and oil products. I see that as more of a broad description of the types of infrastructure thereon to sell oil and gas. So that would be my only thought to follow up on. I realize that's not really a question, and I apologize for that. But anyway, I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitfred, do you have any questions of Mr. Neufeld's rebuttal evidence?
I'll try to frame a question. So,
Please.
Mr. Neufeld, somewhere in this lengthy discussion, I think I heard you say that you were fine with the recommendation up to the point of the $440,000 equipment cost. Is that true?
Yes, that's the case. I don't. We'd had very good discussions with Mr. Fougere, and I think we were upfront with each other. We said we don't agree with the concept of for the tank, and so I think the number that we would like to see is 2592 less the 440, and so that would be 2,152,000.
I understand that. Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Seelan, do you have any questions of the rebuttal evidence?
No, actually, I appreciated all the discussions from everyone and all the input, and all my questions have been answered. So thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I have no questions of the rebuttal evidence. So Mr. Fougere, do you have rebuttal evidence?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you then. All right. Well, is there a desire for summation, Mr. Fougere?
No, I think the issues are fairly clear at this point.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld?
Yes, I do have one thing to add. The assessor has brought up the act, but what has not been brought up is the definition of value in the act, and he's given it to you. In respect of property being assessed under the act, the amount that the property might reasonably be expected to realize if sold in the open market on the applicable reference date by a willing seller to a willing buyer. So application of the cost approach and a depreciation does not indicate market value. That's a cost approach. That's actually a use value, as we call it. There's no proof that these were worth anything. There's nothing he's provided. And what I've provided you is proof of what you could get. So if we lived in Georgia, you could sell that tank for $12,000. We don't live in Georgia. You're not getting anything for it. There's another one I saw later on from the Netherlands, same size, $13,000 for a used tank. That's market value. That's what the Act's telling you. That's what they're worth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Okay, we have heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much, Mr. Neufeld and Mr. Fougere. Appreciate the work you've done on the docket to make it easy to get through.
Yeah, this is very good. I think